Some news broke just a little while ago from the Orioles. Bruce Zimmermann was sent down to the alternate training site, which is what they'll refer to for the next 48 hours, and Isaac MASN recalled. Now, we saw Dean Kramer down at one point. Hyde said it was just about managing his workload at that point, letting him have a breath of air while he tinkered around with some stuff in a start down there. Does this look like a similar situation here with Zimmermann, or could this be a little more of his mechanical stuff and just really giving him a chance to work through?
I think it could be everything. I mean, it's very, very similar to what they did with Kramer. It's like, stop me if you've heard this one before, but they have off days these next two Thursdays and the 17th. So they don't need five starters. So in that regard, it makes sense to send them down. And you mentioned the alternate site. That was in the announcement. I'm curious how that works because I assume they're going to be shutting that down with games starting. But that is the official assignment, is the alternate site. And they get a fresh bullpen arm in MASN. So that all makes sense. And then they could go ahead and bring him back when they need that fifth starter again, or it could be somebody else. It could be Lowther. It could be a Keegan Aiken. It could be someone else. But I think it also is a little bit of a reset for him. He hasn't completed 5 innings in his last 3 starts. The ERA is up to 5.40. And the club really does want to manage the innings of these rookie pitchers, which is why they did this with Kramer, why they're doing it with Zimmermann, because it's a long year and they're amping up from 60 to 162 games. There was no minor league season last year. So there are many things in play here, but without needing 5 starters for a while now, it makes sense to go ahead and bring up a bullpen arm.
Well, and while we've seen Isaac during spring training and, of course, Zimmermann up here in the bigs, a guy who was talked about by many and seen by relatively none, Heston Kjerstad was reported to finally have shown up at the alternate training site. Not that he wasn't showing up on his own accord. That was a plan so that he could healthily rehab before he came back in, but no baseball activity for him yet. What's the latest with him?
Yeah, that's basically it. If you ask anybody in the organization about him, any plans with Kjerstad, they always say the same thing. It's way too soon. At this point, the only thing is he reported directly to the Bowie site. And when minor leaguers broke camp at spring training and headed north, the plan was for him to go south and go to Sarasota to continue workouts. He's just doing very light workouts and conditioning right now. He's nowhere near baseball activities. And don't even bother trying to figure out what affiliate he eventually gets assigned to. The question now is whether he even plays in 2021, or do they just have him spend the summer slowly building back up, and then maybe he goes ahead and goes to the fall instructional league, if there's an Arizona fall league, maybe winter ball, but really ease him back into this to get him in condition, because he has not been able to really do much since he had the diagnosis of myocarditis. So he's got to build himself back up, and you don't rush back from that condition. So I think they just want full go 2022, and they'll decide later exactly what he's going to do the remainder of the summer. But if you ask now, it's just much too soon.
Well, he's approaching almost a year from not only his diagnosis, but stepping away from pretty much all physical activity. We see it with pitchers when they have Tommy John and other things, but that still means that they can still stay active in other areas. They can still keep their lower body and their core strength. Can you just explain really how rare this is, though, in particular with a position player, to have this long of a period away from pretty much anything athletic?
Right. It's tough. And you look at, from a pitcher standpoint, with Eduardo Rodriguez, a former Oriole minor leaguer, Red Sox starter, missed all of 2020 because of it, the same condition. So now we have a position player who, since he was drafted out of Arkansas, has not been able to really even work out. It's one thing to say I'm not able to play in games for a while, but really he has been completely shut down. And it is unusual. But, he's young, and they feel like this is a kid that once he is full go, he's going to move quickly through the system. So it's not a lot of lost time, but at least when other players, when the minors were canceled, they were able to work out at home and be part of these programs, like let's say Adley Rutschman. So they didn't feel like he really missed much of anything. He's able to start out at Bowie now. Totally different situation with Kjerstad. And that's why the club's kind of navigating these uncharted waters here, which they're figuring, better to err on the side of caution with him right now.
Well, Kjerstad is back. Now Santander is out again. It's the same way he ended 2020, but that creates some options with a pretty log-jammed outfield. And, of course, Stewart was a scratch tonight with the day-to-day back soreness. But, I mean, really, how does that start shaping up this outfield, and who's getting to play when?
Yeah, well, Santander is really at the point we thought he would be with the ankle sprain. It was 2 to 4 weeks, and Brandon Hyde said it's probably going to be more closer to the back end of that. And that's where we are right now. It's 2 weeks where he's been shut down, just recovering. And now we're going to get to the next 2 weeks where he does baseball activities and should be back then in a month. But the question in the meantime is DJ Stewart is supposed to be his opportunity again. And we've heard that when there's an injury in left field or there's an injury in right, it was his opportunity to play every day and try and really establish himself in the majors. He was struggling. He was 0 for 21 before that home run on Saturday, had the single yesterday, and would have had the go-ahead RBI extra base hit if he hadn't been robbed at the fence there. But it felt like he was starting to come back, where he was doing a better job timing the fastball. He's been working with the hitting coach Don Long on his stride, not overstriding. And then he has this lower back issue, which he told Hyde was not related to running into the bullpen awning. But he's kind of day-to-day, and he was supposedly day-to-day when he injured the hamstring in Dunedin early in spring training, and we didn't see him for quite a while. So hopefully it's nothing like that. But it's another opportunity right now that's lost for him. And also, this is a three-man bench that's down to two, which is why we had all this shuffling after he was scratched. And they're going to have to decide if this is for an extended length of time. Do we need to get Ryan McKenna back up here to have another outfielder?
Well, and that's the beauty of a taxi squad right now, I guess. Roch,